Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Lab podcast. My name is Thomas Bailey. Alongside me, Alex Miley, as we are ready to go. Two big sports, playoff time for both. Man, it don't get much better than this in sports, only if the NFL was here. NBA, NHL
Well,
playoffs
the
ready to
NFL draft
begin.
this week.
Yeah, we have the NFL draft later on this week, so stay tuned for that as well. I'm sure we'll have like a little bit of a post mock look at the actual season after the draft is all said and done. However, Alex, we are going to get into the main cup of tea that everyone is wanting. NHL and NBA playoffs, man, it's finally here. 8 teams per side, all decided. The division standings in hockey, the 1 through 8 for each of the sides in the NBA. We're going to start it out with NHL, move our way to NBA. We'll go all the way through NHL after we determine our Stanley Cup champions for the NHL from both of us. We'll go into the NBA and lead it off with that all the way to the NBA Finals. Without further ado, it's playoff time. And Alex, we're going to start out with an interesting one. Starting out in the Western Conference, the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Division rivalry from the Central. The Winnipeg Jets won game 1 5-3 after starting a little sluggishly, down 3-2 at one point. A tie game at 3, scored a late goal, empty netter to make it 5-3. A lot closer than a lot of people are going to give it credit for. Do you think St. Louis can pull off the upset as one of the hottest teams coming into this playoff? Or does the one-seeded Winnipeg Jets and the President's Trophy winner get it done in the first round?
Yeah, I still think that Winnipeg takes care of business here. At first, when I had Winnipeg winning the series 4-1. But then with Connor Hellebuyck not looking good in the playoffs once again, I'm going to say Winnipeg wins it 4-2. I think St. Louis gets another game just out of Hellebuyck. He had a bad performance. What I think he faced 17 shots the entire game. He had less than a 900 save percentage. Very, very not good. I mean, he has like a 920, 930 in the regular season, just falls on his face in the playoffs. I don't really know what happens. I don't know if it's nerves or what, but he struggled again, and they're only going to go as far as he carries them. So I still have Winnipeg winning. I think even without Hellebuyck, they're just the more talented team anyways, but I have them winning in 6.
Yeah, I really like to mention one thing when I think of the Winnipeg Jets, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. For all of you that watch football more than hockey, they have one of the best players in the game in the regular season, perennial contender for that MVP award, all those kinds of things. But in the playoffs, he always falls flat. He has a 2-8 playoff record to this point. Obviously, with the win, it's 3-8 now, but still, before the playoffs, when I made my predictions, he hasn't been the best. St. Louis is one of the hottest teams coming into this playoff, 12-win streak. Jim Montgomery playing his brand of hockey with a new team. I'm sure Boston absolutely hating their lives right now, firing him and then watching St. Louis just absolutely dominate after he gets promoted to their head coach. I think that St. Louis makes this a series as well. I have Winnipeg winning in 6, though. Winnipeg, I understand you're not the greatest team on paper. You don't have too many big-name superstars on forward cores or defense. But what you do have is a very consistent roster, very good complementary team. And to lose in the first round this year, I think you'd have to absolutely blow it up at this point. You have to find a way to make it through at least 1 or 2 rounds in this year's playoffs. I would understand if you lose in round 2 because the team you're going to play is probably not going to be a bad team, either one. But either way, though, I think you have to beat St. Louis. I get it. It's a division rivalry. I get Connor Hellebuyck struggles, but you're going to have to figure out a way to push through that and win this series. I think St. Louis loses in 6, gives them hell this entire series, and really shows us why Winnipeg can just never really get it done. I do think that Winnipeg wins, though. As we move into the next series, the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche, a lot of people bookmarking this as the best series of the entire first round. I think that there's another series that could definitely take the cake as well in the Eastern Conference. However, big matchup here, 2-3 in the division. Hate that it has to be a matchup in round 1. Definitely could be a conference finals on other sides, but I do think that this is a very good matchup. Who do you have winning this one? Dallas got smacked in game 1 by Colorado. Do the Avalanche confirm that and win the series, or do the Stars fight back and win this one?
Yeah, I very much do not like the way the playoffs are set up in the NHL. I legitimately believe that out of the 4 best teams in hockey, the 4 teams that I
They're playing
think
each
have the
other.
best shot of winning, the 2 in the Western Conference, I think, are playing each other. this series, and then the 2 in the Eastern Conference, which the Florida and Lightning series that we're going to get into later. Like, I genuinely think those are the 4 best teams, and they
I
have to
couldn't
play each
agree
other in the
more.
first round. And it is frustrating. I mean, it's cool. We're going to get some great first round matchups, but I would rather see this in the second or third or in the conference finals. But of course, Gary Bettman likes this stupid divisional thing. He thinks it's smart. I don't understand it at all. I probably never will. But either way, back to this series, I have Dallas winning it in 7. I think that they are the deeper team and they have the better goaltending. And I've always been super high in Dallas every year in the playoffs, and it bites me in the ass. And it's probably going to bite me in the ass again. Colorado this year is looking really, really good. They finally have better depth in goaltending than they had the last couple of years, which is really the reason they lost. I mean, obviously, Colorado has the 2 best players in the series. Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar are way better than anyone in Dallas. But Dallas, they always lack that like go get it goal scorer that you can really trust to put the puck in the net. And they just added that at the deadline when they went and got Mikko Rantanen. Now you have him, Roope Hintz, Miro Heiskanen, Jason Robertson. I get they're dealing with some injuries, but Wyatt Johnson, they have a lot of really good guys, and then they definitely have the better goaltender in the series. Like Mackenzie Blackwood's been decent this year, but he's no Jake Ottinger. And I think when it comes down to it, usually in the playoffs, the team with the better goaltender and the deeper team more times than not wins the series. So I think that I'm going to go Dallas in 7.
It's almost like you're reading off my sheet here, but it's fine. I have the Stars winning this series in 7 as well. I think that goaltending in this series is
I feel like
much
that happens a lot between us.
Yeah, literally, but it's largely attributed to a lot like pitching in baseball. The team that has the better rotation is normally the team that wins those series. And I think you can have the offense you want. You can have Nathan McKinnon, you can have Cale Makar, but at the end of the day, you really need a goaltender in this league. Look at Edmonton. Prime example of that. I don't think Stuart Skinner's as good as Georgiev. I think Georgiev's just slightly better, but I do think at the same time, it's the same principle. 2 of the best players in the game.
You mean
I think you have
Blackwood?
2 of the best. Blackwood, no, you're right. I did not say Georgiev, did I?
Gorgiev's awful.
Oh, that's bad.
You
Anyway.
said Gorgiev. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did say that. I'm realizing that. Anyway, folks, Blackwood, though. I do think that Blackwood is a slightly better goaltender than Stuart Skinner, especially this year. Skinner kind of played really poorly. However, I do think that this series is going to be very, very close, and I think that it's going to be largely attributed to the injuries. My hot take was Colorado to lose this series in 6 games to Dallas at the start of the season, and now here we are, playoff matchup again for me. This time, I think Dallas wins it in 7 because Miro Heiskanen, he's out for game 1. He's questionable tonight with a knee injury. I think he should be back for game 3 if he's questionable. However, if you're down 2-0 and you're going on the road into Colorado, it could be very, very, very troublesome for the Dallas Stars. However, I will die on this hill. I think Dallas is by far one of the best teams in the entire league when they are healthy. Keyword healthy. But I do think that they can get healthy here. Jason Robertson's going to play tonight. I think that this team's going to be very, very good for a long time. And yes, Jake Ottinger had a very, very bad game 1. He had a lot of goals that he could have stopped. He had one that went barely underneath of his glove because he just missed it. He had one that went into his glove. He dropped it and got tipped in by Ross Colton in front of the goal. It's just those are 2 goals that aren't going to happen again, in my opinion. And I think because of that, I don't think Colorado is going to be able to win this series strictly off that luck. I think Dallas comes back and makes this one a series and ultimately takes it in the end, as that will set up a Dallas-Winnipeg second round for both of our predictions, both in 6 and 7. Let's see if you can go 3 for 3 here. We have Vegas and Minnesota up next in the bracket. I absolutely hate one of these teams, but the Vegas Golden Knights, the Minnesota Wild. Vegas takes the 1 spot in the Pacific Division. Minnesota gets in as the 7th seed in the entire playoff. Minnesota kind of struggled their way into the playoff this year, kind of straggled in, but they are still in the playoff for a reason. A very good team. When Kirill Kaprizov is on, he is on. Dallas is one of those, not Dallas, Minnesota is one of those teams that can really get going, and I think that that is a very big thing for this series. They lost game 1 4-2, even though if we're being completely honest, it was 3-2. That goal at the end from Brett Howden was scored with like 0.001 seconds on the clock. It was insane. But nonetheless, I think that Minnesota can make this a series. Do you think Minnesota can? Does Minnesota pull off the upset here, or does Vegas advance to the second round?
Yeah, when you said that one of these teams you hate, I'm going to have to agree with you. I also hate that team. I hate Vegas. I hate Jack
Yes.
Eichel. So I'm going to always root against Vegas. But I'm not picking on who I want to see win. I'm picking on who I think win. And I do think Vegas takes this in 6. I think Minnesota can definitely steal a couple. Kirill Kaprizov is that dude. Matthew Boldy. I mean, they combined for 4 points in game 1. They were like the only 2 reason Minnesota scored any goals. And I think that they can kind of carry the load. They're going to have some other contributors, but I think Vegas again is the deeper team, and I probably trust their goaltending a little bit more. Aiden Hill has shown it more in the playoffs. So I think I'm going to give the edge here to Vegas. They have the playoff pedigree as they've just won the cup 2 years ago. So yeah, give me Vegas in 6.
I also have the Vegas Golden Knights winning this series, but I have it in 5 games. Here's the problem for Minnesota. I love Minnesota. I think they're a very good team. I like the colors. I like the brand of hockey, specifically in the region of Minnesota. Always been great. However, the downside for this Minnesota Wild team is they haven't made the playoffs much. Matthew Boldy had his first career multi-point playoff game, him and Kaprizov both. I think that's just something that they're going to have to get accustomed to. And a team like Vegas, who's been here, done that, deeper team up front, I think that the goaltending's about even in the series. It's all going to come down to a couple mistakes. And in game 1, what we saw was Gustafsson not being able to make those plays. Realistically, if it wasn't for an insane wraparound goal by Matthew Boldy in the third, this game was almost a blowout. I think that the Vegas Golden Knights are the far better team. And I think this series can be close in every single game. I think that's what's going to end up happening is every game is going to be close. But what's going to happen is Vegas is going to win those games. I think it's going to be like a 3-2 final in like 4 or 5 of these games. And it's going to be the difference maker between the Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild winning this series. I think it's going to be that close in every game, but Vegas wins this one in 5. They have been one of the best teams in the entire league on home ice. Their 30th win of the season is the 4th most all time in a regular season / postseason. If they get I think it's 6 more to tie and 7 more to win, which obviously is a lot considering the playoffs are still. There's still time for them to do that, though. They have 30 wins in the between the playoffs and the regular season at home. They're one of the best home teams. If they take a 3-1 series back home, it's basically over. I think that the Vegas Golden Knights win this one in 5. Don't even give Minnesota a chance to bring it back home for Game 6 to make things interesting. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are off to the second round once again. And speaking of once again, the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. Round 4, baby. It's just John Cena versus The Rock pay-per-view just repeatedly. I don't get it, man. This is Bills Chiefs in my book of the NHL. It's unfortunate. You got the best player on one side and Connor McDavid. I don't think that the Kings have a Josh Allen, especially in this series. Maybe 10 years ago, Anze Kopitar could have been Josh Allen, but not now.
Jonathan Quick. 10 years ago, Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, literally, if anything. But I wish because they won Stanley Cups. Yeah, they did. They did indeed. The Edmonton Oilers, though, the LA Kings, a matchup that is an absolute nightmare for Kings fans. Do the Kings finally get over the hump as they have the home ice advantage, or does Edmonton do it to them for the 4th consecutive year?
I mean, this is the Kings' best shot to beat Edmonton. I mean, this is the worst Edmonton's looked in a couple of years. This is the best the Kings have looked in a couple of years. But if you think I'm betting against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in the playoffs, you're smoking. I am not betting against those two. Give me Edmonton in 6.
I don't blame you here. I have Edmonton winning in 7 games. I think that the LA Kings are – if the LA Kings don't beat the Oilers this year, I think that there's never going to be a chance for them to win. This is the worst goaltending Edmonton's had in the last few years. This is not the same Edmonton team that went to the Cup final last year on the back of a Stuart Skinner masterclass. Edmonton is also feeling some injuries right now with Matthias Ekholm out for all of round 1 and Leon Draisaitl still dealing with some injuries as well. I do think he will play at least probably game 1 to start the series. He might get re-aggravate something, who knows. But I do think that Leon Draisaitl will play. And then obviously you got Connor McDavid. It's basically the same thing for me as it is with the Bills Chiefs matchup. As long as the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game. It's not common sense here. And it's round one. They just made it to the Cup final last year. Do you really think that they're going to lose in round one? I get LA's better than they were these last couple seasons, but I just don't see it, folks. I think they force 7 here just due to the injuries and the poor play from Skinner. But give me the Edmonton Oilers to overcome all the adversity and take home a round one win. As we are 4 for 4 on our predictions, both of us picking the same teams, leaving us with the second round matchups of Winnipeg versus Dallas and then Vegas versus Edmonton. Pretty fireworks for that Western Conference as we now shift focus to the eastern side of the bracket, starting off with the 1 seed in the Atlantic, the Toronto Maple Leafs, taking on the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa got kind of cooked in game 1. They lost 6-2, dominating fashion, really didn't have a chance much in that game. It was 4-1 at one point, just couldn't get anything going. Can Ottawa right the ship and turn this one around in the Battle of Ontario, or do the Toronto Maple Leafs win a playoff series? What? I mean,
these are 2 of my least favorite teams in the league, so I really don't care who wins this series. I think whoever wins it whoever wins it is just walking into a loss in the next series.
Literally.
Neither of these teams are touching a healthy Florida team or a Tampa team with the way they've been playing. I don't care that Toronto finished above them. It has no impact on that at all, in my opinion. But I do think Toronto takes care of this. I just don't think Ottawa's that great of a team. I get they were playing hot to end the season, and they're better than they are in years past. But, I mean, really, where do they have an advantage out of maybe goaltending? Like, forward core, no. Defense core, not really. I mean, I don't really like
defenseman in the series.
What?
I said Shabbat is the best defenseman in the series, but they don't have like anybody else aside from him.
Artem Zub. I mean, it's not. I just don't think Edmonton. I think they are kind of overperformed. The last couple of years, they kind of underperformed a little bit. And I think this year they kind of went the other way and they overperformed a little bit. I don't think they're as good as their point total says. And I think Toronto kind of exposes them. I think that someone like a Mitch Marner, who is becoming an unrestricted free agent this year and has been kind of known as this playoff choker, is going to be really focused on having a great playoff series to try and like eliminate some of those questions so we get more money in free agency, whether it's going back to Toronto or maybe coming to Buffalo or going to the highest bidder. Probably not, because Kevin Adams would look and be like, "Oh no, a big move! I'm scared." He would
there's no palm trees. There's no palm trees.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. Yeah, Mitch Marner would just come to Buffalo and be like, "Nah, there's no palm trees here. I'm gonna go back to Toronto because there's definitely a lot there." No, but Kevin Adams would just look. Kevin Adams would just look and be scared of a big move. I think he might have like a panic attack.
He'd go like this. He'd like poke it like it's the cheese touchy. But
yeah. He'll have to have it. He'll have to talk about it with his therapist for an hour. A big move.
I just don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do this. I
think she's moving too fast.
I've never given anyone more money than Connor Clifton. I'm scared.
And Connor Clifton is terrible, bro.
That is the biggest free agent contract that he's given out.
I know. That's bad.
So sad. But anyways, back off my Adams hate, because I just love spewing hatred about that man. Toronto in 5.
I also have Toronto winning the series in 5. I think game 1 kind of... Damn. Anyway, pardon that. But Toronto wins in 5 as well for me. I think that game 1 just kind of solidified that. And I think that the Maple Leafs are the far better team in every aspect. Yeah, you can maybe give the slight edge to goaltending, but without Linus Ullmark played in last year's playoffs, I don't know if that's even a thing. I love you, Linus Ullmark. I miss you, but I mean, dude, you're just not the same as you are in the regular season. I do think that Ottawa can steal one when they're at home, but I think they lose both on the road And then I think they lose 1 at home. And then I think they lose game 5 on the road as well. So give me the Toronto Maple Leafs in 5 games to actually win a series. I was tempted to troll and say Toronto in 7 just to make everybody have PTSD.
I got a good one. Brady Tkachuk, money puck. Terry Bagula is a cuck. Toronto in 5.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
3 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving into our second matchup, the Battle of Florida. We had the Battle of Ontario, lame, and then we have the Battle of Florida, absolute banger. Absolute banger. The Maple Leafs will play the winner of this series. Is it Tampa or is it Florida? Do the defending champs and representative of the Eastern Conference for the last 2 seasons make it back to the final, make it out of round 1? Or does Tampa, who's lost 3 straight years in round 1, finally get back to their winning ways?
I think Tampa finally does get back to their winning ways. This is the best team they've had since, in my opinion, this is the best team they've had since their second Cup championship. I think this is better than the team that lost to Colorado. I think this is one of the best forward cores I have seen in some time. I mean, you have 6 first-liners. Nikita Kucherov, Jake Gensel, Braden Point, Brandon Hagel, and I'm blanking on the other guys. But they have 6 guys who could be legitimate first-liners. Yeah, Pirelli. And then they also so that's what I meant. Yes, and they also have an improved third line with the trades getting Bjorkstrand. I'm not great with
Bjorkstrand, Oliver
Bjorkstrand. Yeah, Oliver Bjorkstrand. Getting him from Seattle was a great trade to cut because what they lacked was depth. Now they have more depth because they went out and made that trade. Obviously, Victor Hedman's playing better this year. Bringing Ryan McDonough back is allowing him to be more aggressive on offense. And then Andrei Vasilevsky's having his best season in like 3 or 4 years. And we know how good Andrei Vasilevsky is in the playoffs. He is one of the biggest playoff risers for a goaltender in recent memory. And I think that with Florida, a team that kind of battled a lot of injuries this year, and they're kind of limping into the playoffs, like they barely even survived Ottawa and getting knocked into the wild card. And they kind of slumped their way in. They didn't even get 100 points this year. And Matthew Tkachuk, he's going to play in this series. Like they put him in LTIR just for like the cap space reasons. But this is going to be the first hockey he's played since 4 Nations. Like he may not be great to start the series. And that's someone they're going to need for their to get going on offense because they've been kind of struggling offensively lately. And then why I'm blanking on the Florida goaltender name. I don't know why I'm blanking on
it.
Yeah, I don't know why I was blanking. Bobrovsky's not having a great year. This is probably his worst season in 2 or 3 years. And I think that Tampa definitely has the firepower to outscore Florida, and they have the goaltending this year that I think is way better. They're playing better hockey as of late. They've proven it more. I get Florida just won the championship last year, but Nikita Kucherov and Andrei Vasilevsky, I trust them more than really anyone on Florida. So because of that, I'm going to go with Tampa in 7 games. I think that if Florida was on the other side of the bracket, then they'd meet in the conference finals. I genuinely think those are the 2 best teams in the East. It is very unfortunate that they have to play in the first round, but it's a bloodbath, and I'm going to go with Tampa.
I think, again, you're just reading off my sheet here, man. I don't get it. I also have Tampa Bay winning this series in 7 games. Yeah, I think there's 3 big things here for this series that really makes it kind of come home for me, and that's the Tkachuk injury, finally coming back from injury and coming into this circle here. You're not going to play amazing off your first game back from like a huge time frame, a huge lapse in time since you last played since February. It's over 2 months ago. And because of that, I think that he's going to be sluggish. And then the other one, obviously, Aaron Ekblad, who is by far the best defenseman on that team. Respect Brandon Montour, but Aaron Ekblad has been the anchor of that Florida Panthers defense for so long now. He is out for the playoffs. Because of that, I think that the goaltending is also going to take a hit. You have Sergei Bobrovsky and Andrei Vasilevsky, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this because Vasilevsky played very good this season, but I think in the playoffs, these are 2 of the best goalies, probably the 2 best goalies in the entire playoff, other than maybe Hellebuyck if he actually plays up to expectations. I think they're going head-to-head right now. maybe Ottinger, but he had a bad game one. Who knows?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
because of that, if you take a look at this on paper, you might have the two best goaltenders in the entire playoff facing in round one. And because of that, I think that the big difference is going to be the defenses in front of them. And who are you trusting? The team that doesn't have Aaron Ekblad or the team that has Victor Hedman? Also, you gave so much respect to that Tampa team right now. You have guys like Anthony Cirelli. You have guys like Brandon Hagel. You have Oliver Bjorkstrand who can come in and add that scoring finish. And then you got the fourth liners that can really just grind out those games for you as well. This is going to be a bloodbath. Those fourth liners are really
Zemgus Girgensons.
I was going to say Zemgus Girgensons. You just have to be able to grind out these series, especially when it's against your crosstown rival. And I think the last thing here that is the most important, they have home ice advantage in this series. They have the first two. The next two are in Florida. Game 5 and Game 7 would be in Tampa Bay if they get there, obviously. Who knows? You never know. And after tonight, this is the last series that hasn't been played other than the Edmonton-LA series of the West, but it is the only East series that hasn't played. So because of that, actually, I think Edmonton and LA play tonight. Now that I think about it, I think they play at 10. So this would be, after tonight, the only series that has not been played yet. They are absolutely milking this for all it's worth.
Yeah.
They're doing this on purpose. They're doing this on purpose.
It's weird. 2 games are already in game 2, and they don't play game 1 until tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. They really want to make sure that this series is good. But I do think that Tampa Bay wins in 7. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that. Frank, I'm so sorry if you ever watch this video. But what I have to say is the injury bug just hit at the worst time, especially on the defense, and I think that's the most important thing for this series. So give me Tampa Bay in 7. Moving into the final 2 games, it is Washington and Montreal, a shocking team that made the playoffs for the first time in several seasons, actually since their cup run back when Tampa Bay beat them. So they haven't made the playoffs since then. Yeah, fraudulent, but who knows? Carolina or New Jersey's winner would play the winner of Washington, Montreal. Who gets that first spot? Is it Washington as the 1 spot or Montreal as the 2? Before you get into it, though, Montreal is currently down 2-0 in game 1 to the Ovechkin scoring the first goal of the series and Anthony Beauvillier following it up 2-0 Washington as we speak. What are your thoughts on the series?
I just want to touch up on something from the last series. You brought up how Aaron Ekblad is out for this playoffs. I think he's probably played his last game as a Florida Panther because next year he'll be suiting up as Owen Powers pairing as a Buffalo Sabre. I'm psychic. I'm reading into the future. Someone's going to hold Kevin Adams at gunpoint and force him to actually make a big move. It's going to happen. I'm telling you. Or I might just sit in my room and go crazy because he doesn't make a big move. Hey, I mean,
I like the latter option.
I can see it. I'm picturing it. So Aaron Ekblad is not going to play for the Panthers anymore. He's coming to Buffalo. The source, trust me, bro.
I think this would be a great time to talk about our sponsor of today's video, Alex's Gummies, as we get. The link is in the bio below for you guys to get what Alex is smoking right now. As you can clearly see, he's out of his fucking mind.
All right, back to the Capitals and Canadiens. Give me a sweep. Bring out the brooms. The Canadiens, very much overachievers. I mean, the Sabres had more regulation wins than the Canadiens this year. I mean, the Canadiens' defense blows.
Go ahead.
And the Canadiens' defense blows. Washington's going to easily win this series. I think that Darcy Kemper is going to continue to play well, and he's going to lead them to the promised land of getting out of this series. I think he kind of shuts down Washington's offense a little bit. They've just been playing lights out. I still don't like Washington a lot as a contender. It's more so I just think Montreal is by far the worst team that made the playoffs this year. Do they have a super bright future, especially with Ivan Demidov coming up? I think he is going to be an absolute beast. But right now, they're just not there yet. Their defense sucks. Their goaltending's pretty mid. Their offense doesn't have a lot of depth. And I just trust Washington to score a lot of goals and win this series pretty handily. Bring out the brooms.
I don't think the Brooms are going to be out just yet. I think that Washington is going to lose one in Montreal. I just think that atmosphere, the Montreal Canadiens faithful, will steal them at least one game in this series. I do think that it will only be one, though. I think that Montreal is a very up-and-coming team, and maybe even next year we could see them make it to the second round or farther. But as of right now, with where you are, you're playing a pretty decent Washington team. I don't want to give them the contender label because I really still don't think they're that great. I think the East is definitely worse than the West by a lot in this year's playoffs for both things we're going to talk about today. But either way, I do think that Washington is going to win this series in 5 games. Montreal gets 1 on home ice, but Washington takes care of the rest. As we move into the final series of the first round, the winner to take on Washington, a battle of the Metropolitan Division, the 2-seeded Carolina Hurricanes and the 3-seeded New Jersey Devils. Without Jack Hughes, can the Devils survive this series, or will the Hurricanes dominate? What do you have in this one?
Yeah, I just think without Jack Hughes, the Devils really lack enough goal scoring to be able to compete in the series. With the way that Carolina has that super defensive approach where they don't really allow many chances, without having someone like Jack Hughes who can be that offensive engine, can kind of take over games and be the one that can put the puck in the net and can create chances. I think it's going to be really tough for them to get some good looking shots. And I think Carolina grinds out a 4-1 series win.
I think that this one is where I have the Brooms coming out. I think every single time in the first round, you normally see at least one sweep. I think there's 2 other contenders here. That's Toronto and then Washington to sweep as well. But I think the Brooms are bringing out here. And I want to mention this stat because I think this is absolutely insane. Carolina this season, Carolina outshot their opponents in 63 out of the 82 regular season games, the second most all-time behind who? Wayne Gretzky on the Oilers, who had it with 65. 2 more games than this Hurricanes team. That is it. I think that's a crazy stat, and I think that one thing you got to mention here, a lot of people tell me that the Devils have the better goaltending. It's not going to matter when you're getting outshot by 15 shots every game. I think the Devils are going to lose this series considering the fact they can't score a damn goal without Jack Hughes, apparently. And because of that, they're going to lose this series I'm going to say 4. I just think they get swept. Carolina's a much better team, and I think they're going to prove that in this series. Bring out the Brooms, baby, as that puts an end to round 1. Moving into round 2, we'll start back in the West and then go back to the East. You'll see that pattern with both the NHL and NBA that we'll talk about today. However, next up is the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. Does Dallas or Winnipeg get it done? Will Winnipeg finally get over the hump and get to the conference final? Or does Dallas get back to the conference final for the 3rd straight year?
Give me Dallas again. I just don't trust Winnipeg to really I just don't trust Connor Hellebuck. I trust him enough to get past the Blues team that, while is playing really good hockey, just isn't nearly as good as Dallas. Doesn't have the offensive firepower to really expose Connor Hellebuck as much as Dallas does. And both teams are kind of battling injuries. So those kind of cancel each other out a little bit. And I think that Dallas is just the better team than Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg only had, they were only as good as they were because of Connor Hellebuck carrying, and he has yet to show me that he can play anywhere close to that in the playoffs. So that really caps how good they can be. So I think Dallas takes cares of that series in 6 games. I think on home ice, I think is what they'll put them away game 6.
I also have Dallas winning this series in 6 games. I don't know what else to say, man. I'm not making this up. But what I will say here,
how do we do this so much?
I don't know. We are now 9 for 9 on the series. Both of us have picked the exact same matchups the entire way. Hopefully this isn't like this for the NBA. I don't think it will be, but maybe. Who knows? Anyway, I do have the Winnipeg Jets losing in round 2. Winnipeg is a team that always chokes in the playoffs, and my rule is if a team's always good in the playoffs, never bet against them, and if a team's always bad in the playoffs, always bet against them. That's my rule. I do that a lot with the Baltimore Ravens, where I'll normally have them win the wild card game if they're in the wild card, and then they'll lose to whoever they play in the divisional, whether that be Bills.
The Bills against the Chiefs.
Yeah, literally. So because of that, I think that realistically here, I think Winnipeg's run ends. I think Dallas is one of the best teams in the playoff. They'll finally be healthy. They'll be riding a huge series win against the Colorado Avalanche, who are the best team in the West beside the Dallas Stars, in my opinion. And because of that, I do think that the Winnipeg Jets are done in 6 games in this one. As we move into the other Western Conference matchup to take on Dallas in the Western Conference Final, the Vegas Golden Knights or the Edmonton Oilers, a interesting series to say the least. Does Edmonton get back to the conference final for a conference final rematch with Dallas, or does Vegas get back to the conference final for a rematch with Dallas from 2 years ago?
Give me Edmonton in 7 games because I'm not betting against Connor McDavid. I'm not betting against Leon Draisaitl. It's just not it. I get it's weird as a Sabres fan, but my favorite non-Sabre in hockey is probably Connor McDavid. He even he's just insane. He is so good, and you just don't really. Yeah, exactly. I wish he was a Sabre. You just don't really want to bet against him. I mean, he just had his 5th straight 100-point season, 3rd all time now behind Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. Like, just absolutely insane numbers, insane run he's putting up right now. And I think that it's going to continue. While he didn't have as great of a regular season he did the last couple of years down the stretch, I think he missed a couple games, and then when he came back and like a week stretch or whatever, or like a 4 or 5 game, I think it's maybe like a 3 or 4 game stretch, the Edmonton scored, I think, 9 goals, and Connor McDavid, I think, scored 8 of them, or scored and assisted on 8 of them. Like, he just decided, I'm going to take over and just go crazy. The sad thing is that they weren't able to do much outside of him, which does worry me against a team like Vegas, that prides themselves on having a lot of depth and like having a decent goaltending and just having good players everywhere. I definitely could see Edmonton or Vegas winning this series, but I'm just not going to bet against the 2 best players in the series. And Stuart Skinner shows he can get hot for stretches. He can have some really good series, some really good months, really good playoff. Everyone, like last year, he was pretty decent in the playoffs. And I get that they just lost Matthias Ekholm, and that really kills their defense a lot. But I think Edmonton can come down to a game 7, and then I'm just not betting against them in a winner-take-all game.
That is very fair. However, for the first time in this entire video, I disagree. I think that Vegas is just the better team in this series, and that really freaking hurts to say. I think that Edmonton has by far the 2 best players in the series, but the problem is Stuart fucking Skinner, with your dumbass mustache, you are going to sell harder than anyone ever could in Vegas.
Don't disrespect mustaches.
But it's just his specifically, man. I hate this guy. He is the reason why Connor McDavid probably won't ever get over the hump. And because of that, I just can't respect the man. You are single-handedly the reason why he won't go down as the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes, because people think the championships means it. No, I'm saying just dumb people on Twitter think the championships means everything.
Yeah, but no, I'm just saying I don't think he can go down as the GOAT because Wayne Gretzky has such insane, unbreakable records that if he never scored a goal, he would still have the all-time points record. Like, I get the era he played in, but
that's crazy.
It's kind of going to be almost impossible to top him as a GOAT.
But still, he'll be in the top 5 at least all time, and the fact he might not win a Stanley Cup is very sad.
I don't think he can get top 5 without a cup. Well, I'm not someone that believes a lot of championships. I think to be considered like a top 5 in your sport, you need at least 1. I think you need at least 1 to be top 5 in your sport.
That's very fair, and I think unfortunately because of Stuart Skinner, that probably doesn't happen. At least maybe, who knows? Maybe they get a better goalie at some point.
I mean, they still got time. I mean, he's in his prime still, so.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I do think that this series is going to come down to 7 games, and I know you just said betting against them in a winner-take-all, and that made me kind of think about it a little bit, but I trust Vegas in this series. I just do. If there's a team that, in my mind, can shut down Connor McDavid, it's going to be this Vegas Golden Knights team. Bruce Cassidy, when he has been the head coach of a hockey team, they have been top 5 in goals against allowed per game. They are top 5 in every single category defensively, basically, since he took over. And back to his Boston days, it was the exact same way. I understand he had great goaltending in Boston, but realistically, he's doing it right now with who? Adin Hill? Yeah, come on now. Don't come at me like that. I think that this Vegas team has such an insane defense. Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, Alex Pietrangelo. You just have so many different guys that can really take away Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. one of the best defensive hockey teams in the entire league, and I think they're going to be the exact reason why Connor McDavid doesn't make it back to the conference finals. Give me Vegas in 7. That really, I want to vomit. But anyway, before I puke, let's move on into the eastern side of the bracket, where I have Toronto taking on Tampa Bay, and you do as well. Does Toronto finally get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, or do the Tampa Bay Lightning take this series?
I got Tampa in 6. I think this is where the classic Toronto choke happens. I think that Tampa just really, they're better in all 3 phases. They have the best player. They have the best goalie. They have the best forward overall. They have the best defenseman. They're the deeper team. I just don't really see an area where you can say, yeah, Toronto's better than Tampa. Because what does Toronto pride themselves? Having a lot of really good forwards who can score. Yeah, but Tampa's been the best all year at that. Like, they Kucherov better than Austin Matthews, and then it's like Braden Point, Brandon Hagel. But I would rather probably have them over Marner and I'm blanking on his name. I don't know why I keep blanking on whatever. The guy for Toronto that is really good. I just can't seem to remember. He's got like 4. He's like top 5 in goals this year. I think he took like third. No, he took like top 5 in goals.
Austin Matthews?
No, Austin Matthews was not top 5 in goals. I'm
kind
of annoyed that I don't know why I'm blanking on this dude. William Nylander. Why was I blanking on William Nylander? Well, I don't know why I was blank, but like, yeah, Matthew Nyes, John Tavares, but like, I just think Tampa's is deeper. I mean, Gensel, Hagel, Point, Kucherov are all like all-star level players. And you have at least one of them playing in your second line. Then you have Anthony Cirelli, you have Olivia Borgstrand, you have Rick Paul. I think his last name is Paul for Tampa. I'm just blanking. Nick Paul. I do not know why I'm blanking on so many names tonight. Anyways, yes. Short story, Tampa in 6.
I agree again. Tampa Bay in 6 games as well. I do think that Tampa Bay could win this one in 5, but I have it in 6 for 2 reasons. 1, division rivalry matchup, and 2, I think they're going to be absolutely gassed after that Florida Panthers series. I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath with the Florida Panthers, and because of that, I think that Toronto can steal another game in this series because of it, due to the fatigue. So go ahead and give me Tampa Bay still in 6 games as well. As we move into the final second-round matchup, Washington versus Carolina. Does Ovechkin get to the Eastern Conference Finals, or do the Carolina Hurricanes get back to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Give me Carolina in 7 games. I think Carolina's just style of play matches up really well against Washington. I just don't trust Washington's forward cores against a team. Like, they have some really good players. Obviously, Alexander Ovechkin's been playing out of his mind this year. I just think that the way Carolina plays hockey, I think they have the better coach. I think that they are the better defensive team. I think they probably match up about equivalent in forward talent. I mean, Sebastian Aho, I think, is the best player in the series. And then you got players like, I'm not going to name players because I'm just going to continue blanking on names tonight. I just can't remember. Svechnikov, the dude they got from Dallas.
Seth Jarvis, Logan Stankoven.
Logan Stankoven, Seth Jarvis. Like, I think they have the offensive firepower to match up with Washington, but they just have, I think, a more playoff-built style of hockey, and they're better defensively. And because I get the goalie difference, but we haven't seen Darcy Kemper play like he did in the regular season in the playoffs, so I don't really know how much I trust him. I just don't really trust this Washington team to go on a run. Carolina's shown that they can at least make it to the conference finals a lot and the playoffs. So because of that, I do think Carolina is going to be able to make it back in 7 games.
Once again, Alex, we agree. I have Carolina in 7 games as well. I think Washington's a good team. I just don't think that I think that Carolina kind of gets lucky here by who they have to play, for the simple fact that I think if you have a team against Carolina that has a better goalie, I think that Carolina loses like 9 times out of 10 in those series. And because of that, I do think that this is one of those situations where the team you're playing doesn't necessarily have as good of a goalie. And because of that, I do think that Washington's going to lose because of it. I think this is going to be a higher scoring series between Freddie Anderson and then Washington's goaltender, Logan Thompson. I do think that it's going to be a very interesting series, to say the least. But give me Carolina in 7. They've owned them in the playoffs in the past. Of course, we all remember that goal in overtime that went off the skate of, I think it was Braden Holtby at the time for Washington that lost them that series. So Carolina has familiarity with this opponent. They can win these series, and I think they do again, setting up a Tampa-Carolina Eastern Conference Final, and then mine, Dallas-Vegas in the West, and yours, Dallas-Edmonton. We'll start off with yours, the Oilers and Stars in a rematch of last year's Western Conference Final. Will the results stay the same with McDavid advancing to the Cup Final? Or does Dallas finally get back to the Stanley Cup after a 4-year hiatus?
Just one quick thing on the Winnipeg St. Louis Blues series so far. It's 1-1 halfway through the second.
Yep.
Both Binnington and Hellebuck have faced the same amount of shots. They're 12 for 13. It's kind of funny. Like, how often do you see that halfway through a game where they face the exact same amount of shots, allowed the exact same amount of goals?
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah. But anyways, I have Dallas winning this in 6. I think they get their revenge from last year when they lost in 6. They really don't want to go. I think even though Edmonton will be at home, I think Dallas realizes they don't want to go winner take all against a Connor McDavid-led team. So I think they really, really try their hardest to close it out in 6. And where the big advantages are is Dallas is much deeper offensively. They are better defensively. And they have the big advantage is goaltending. I mean, you go from Jake Ottinger to Stuart Skinner. Like, I think that Dallas ends up taking this. I think them and Colorado, the two best teams in the West. And I think that I could see Colorado winning that series and then completely busting my bracket. But since I picked Dallas, and I do think they're the two best teams, I'm riding Dallas to the Cup Finals, and I do have Dallas winning this game or this series in 6.
Yeah, I'm also going to kind of have a similar fashion thing. I have Dallas winning this one in 6, off to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think that Dallas is a very good team, and they're one of the best in the entire league all season when they're healthy. And because of that, I think they're going to get this one done. I think that Vegas made it very clear that they're still a very good team and that they can compete. But I do think that Dallas is off to the Stanley Cup Final, as I think you and I are ready to do the West to the East side. Now, here we go. We have Carolina and Tampa Bay, a rematch of the, I think it was 2022-23 season's Eastern Conference Final, when Tampa swept them.
That sounds right. Yeah. That sounds right. Because then Florida swept them the following year, right?
Yeah.
And they got swept back-to-back times in the Eastern Conference Final. Yep.
It was actually Boston. They got swept by Boston in 2019 in the Eastern Conference Final.
Oh yeah, because they had lost. It was like they had lost 12 straight conference. They lost their last 12.
Exactly. Yep. I was trying to make it to where you knew I meant I was referring to the same thing. Anyway.
Yep. I have Tampa winning this series in 6. I'm even tempted to go 5 because of that. Them losing 12 straight. Like the way Carolina plays hockey is really good at getting them through lower level competition in the first and second rounds. But then in the conference finals, they usually go into like a really good team in the East and the other side, a Tampa, a Florida, a Boston at the time. These teams that have much better offensive talent that they can kind of break through Carolina's system. And because of that, with how good Tampa is offensively and having such a clear advantage of goaltender, I think Tampa is going to be able to take care of this one in 6.
Yeah, I also think Tampa Bay wins in 6 games. I think they are by far the better team in this series. And like I said, with Carolina, the only way Carolina loses is if they have a goaltender that's better than Freddie Anderson. And in this series, it's no contest. Andrei Vasilevsky is so much better. Because of that, I do think that Tampa Bay advances to the Stanley Cup Final, leaving us with the exact same matchup, Dallas-Tampa in the Stanley Cup Final. Who do you have winning this year's Stanley Cup?
Dallas in 7. I think Dallas finally gets it. I don't really know why I'm picking Dallas over Tampa. I kind of just am. I guess I trust their depth a little bit more. And I think that Jake Ottinger is close enough offensively. I think the defensive depth by Dallas for sure. And just like I trust Dallas is like second and third line more. Like the first line definitely goes to Tampa, but I trust Dallas is second and third line more. I don't know why I'm picking Dallas. I don't know why I always pick Dallas, but I'm just going to go with Dallas in 7.
I also have Dallas in 7 games. Oh, this is anticlimactic. I think that Dallas has everything it takes to winning Stanley Cup, and I think in series like this, it's not about the best players. And if you take a look at Stanley Cups, if you take a look at who always wins cups, it's not the team with the top end talent. It's always the teams that have the best depth. And I think in this series, it's the one thing you can give the advantage to Dallas in is the depth department. I think that Dallas is everything you want in a Stanley Cup contending team. I think they have the defense. While young, they still have a very good defense. Miro Heiskanen would obviously be back. Jason Robertson's going to be completely a full go at this point. I think that everything is falling into place for the Dallas Stars. I think if you want to get punny here, the stars are aligning for the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup. I do think that Tampa Bay is a great team. I think they're going to take this one all the way to the brink, 7 games, and I think it'd be an amazing Stanley Cup final rematch if we got it. However, I don't think that Tampa is going to get it done. Go ahead and give me the Dallas Stars in 7 games to win the Stanley Cup, and I can't wait for 1.5 weeks to go by and find out that Dallas lost in round 1 because it's always how it goes. Moving in to the opposite side now, we have the NBA, National Basketball Association, as we started off with the 1 versus 8, Oklahoma City versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Does Ja Morant shoot his way to the second round past the Thunder? Or did the Thunder get through the first round once again?
It's time to bring the brooms back out. This is going to be a sweep. There's a lot more sweeps in the NBA than the NHL just because like it's much harder to win consistently in the NHL with how easy it is to get to overtime and there being a lot less scoring. There's a lot less variance. Or I meant to say that actually there's a lot more variance because of like goaltending play and just shot luck and stuff like that than in the NBA. So there's a lot more sweeps. So right off the bat, I'm picking a Thunder to sweep the Grizzlies. I mean, kind of watching game 1 definitely influenced that a little bit. Shea had one of his worst games of the season and they won by 50. I mean, you really think Shea's going to have 15 and 5 again? I don't. I mean, with the way he's been playing, I don't think he's going to continue to play like that. They just had that game out of him and they won by 50. Like, what are the Grizzlies going to be able to do? Nothing. I think Ja Morant does not shoot his way to the second round. I don't think he can shoot himself to a victory. Hopefully he doesn't shoot on Instagram Live anymore, and then everything will be forgiven.
Fair enough. I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to lose in the sweep as well. I think this Memphis Grizzlies team is just absolutely atrocious compared to the Thunder. The Thunder have blown out teams all season long, and like you mentioned, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had one of his worst games in forever, really, and they still won. He didn't get 13 free throws in this game, and because of that, I do think that this Memphis Grizzlies team is going to get swept here. It's only a matter of time before he starts getting fouled, and I do think that Oklahoma City cruises into the second round as now for a little bit more of an interesting series, the Lakers and the Timberwolves. Does Luka Doncic and the Lakers get to the second round? Or will it be Anthony Edwards and his Timberwolves in a huge fight in the West?
I still think, even though the Lakers lost by like 20 to the Timberwolves, I still think they win this series. I originally had Lakers in 6, but I thought they were going to win game 1. So now I have Lakers in 7. I think that when it comes down to it, LeBron and Luka in a game 7, I trust more than anyone on the Timberwolves. I mean, you saw what Luka did last year to the Timberwolves in the conference finals. And LeBron, even at age 40, is still LeBron, especially in the playoffs. And I think they're going to step their game up. They're going to come in more focused. I think they're going to win the next 2 games. Timberwolves tied up, and then they kind of just go back and forth like that until the Lakers win in game 7, and they take care of this tough first round matchup.
I also agree here. I think the Lakers win this one in 7. I think that this is going to be a dogfight back and forth, but it's LeBron in game 7. And you pair that with Luka Doncic, who I think is even better than Edwards, even though Edwards is very good. I do think that with those two kind of being paired in this series, getting it all the way to game 7, which is where I think it's going to go, I think it's basically just who is going to have the players that step through and make those big shots, make those big plays in the big moments. And I think that is the Lakers in this series. So go ahead and give me Los Angeles to advance. As speaking of Los Angeles, our next matchup is the Los Angeles Clippers taking on the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are the 4 seed, winning an absolute thriller in game 1 overtime. Nuggets up 1-0, but do they get the job done with the Joker, or do the Clippers rally to win this one?
The Nuggets are gonna win. I'm really tempted to say in 5, but I'm gonna go in 6. I just think that was the Clippers' game to win, and they lost that game. That was the game they needed to win the series. You go into Denver in game 1, you lead the entire game, and then you just choke that the way you did. Like, if you're the Clippers, you just got to feel sick to your stomach. I mean, that was just not a very good end of the game. That was the game that they needed to win if they wanted to pull off this upset. And I just think that Jokic is just going to put his foot down, and I don't see them being able to survive this. And I think Jokic carries them to at least a first round victory. Yeah, so give me Nuggets in 6.
I also have the Nuggets winning this one in 6 games. I think that the Clippers could definitely hang around. Yeah, I know, but I really know that the Nuggets can stick around here in these games. And I think that one thing for sure that kind of scared me about picking the Nuggets originally was that their head coach was fired. Malone was fired. They bring in a completely new guy for the playoffs, which is, I just think, an absolutely retarded move to make right there. Just bring in a new coach for the playoffs. Like, at that point, just let it ride out. But whatever. The 4 seed, that's all we got. Yeah, you're fired. Get out. Get out of my office.
There might have been something under the scenes where something boiled over really bad, but still.
Yeah, that's still stupid to me, especially in the middle of the playoffs. I don't, well, not in the middle, but technically right before the playoffs. Anyway, yeah. I do think that the Nuggets at least win this one. The Clippers are a dysfunctional franchise. They're from Buffalo, so it makes sense. And then other than that, the Nuggets in 6 games.
Thanks for that one. I appreciate it.
Anyway, moving into another interesting
Bandits are from Buffalo, and they're not dysfunctional.
Yeah, the Bandits are the only good team.
They took all the goodness from all the other sports. Like, can you just spread the wealth?
Just extracted everything.
Can you give some to the Bills and give some to the?
Everybody was like, "Let Josh get a ring." They're like, "Fine, Josh Byrne, fine, take the rings." Let Josh Byrne get all the rings. You know. And
please give the rings to the Canadian sports team. Okay, we'll give it to lacrosse.
Yeah, right. Literally. Anyway, Houston versus Golden State. The last matchup of the first round in the Western Conference. The winner would play the Lakers in our predictions. Is Houston ready to make the jump to winning round 1, or does Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry advance?
I think Steph Curry is going to serve up a 6-game series win. And I originally, I think I had it in 7, but with the Warriors winning last night and kind of not dominating fashion, but like defensively with how dominant they were. And just the Rockets just looked exactly how I thought. This very inexperienced young team that isn't ready for the playoffs. Now, the Rockets' future is super bright. Jalen Green took a step. Alperen Sengun is good. Amen Thompson. You got good role players in like Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, and you still have some young guys, Jabari Smith, that can step up and draft picks to go and make some moves. But at the same time, you don't even have anyone I would consider all-star level, maybe Alperen Sengun, but like that's about it. Like they just don't have the firepower or the experience. Usually you need one of them. You either just need like some absolute like talented studs that can just go do their thing, or you need a lot of like experienced savvy bets, and they kind of lack both against a team like the Warriors that have Steph Curry that's won 4 rings, that Jimmy Butler, who's dragged a couple of bad or mediocre Heat teams on deep playoff runs because of how much he's a playoff riser. The experience at coach, Draymond Green, they have depth. Like, I just think that this is just a horrible matchup for the Rockets. I think if they would have faced the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, even maybe the Clippers, I think would have been better matchups for them than the Warriors. I think the Warriors are like almost the worst possible outcome. And because of that, I think that they advance in 6. This kind of reminds me a lot when the Lakers in 2023 took down the Grizzlies, when the Grizzlies were the 2 seed and the Lakers were the 7. The Grizzlies were the young, inexperienced team, and the Lakers had LeBron. Yeah, and AD and the experience to go and take care of business like they did. And I think they won that series in 6.
Yeah, I think that the experience is another thing here. And I think that if you want to bring up like just overall like analogies here, examples of what these are, think back to what we just talked about with Washington and Montreal. Montreal's this young up-and-coming team who's very good. They're just playing a more experienced team that has one of the best in the game, the best scorer of all time in both games, really. And obviously Steph Curry and Ovechkin, obviously. So because of those two things paired together, I do think that that's a very good analogy as well. I had Washington winning that one in 5 games. However, I do think that Golden State's going to get pushed to 6. I think I don't know how else to call it other than domination in game 1. I don't think Houston ever had a chance. I watched that entire game, and I never thought that Houston had a chance. Not once. Not even when they drew back within 5 points, because as soon as they drew back within 5 points off a 3, passed it to the corner to, what's his name there? Number 4, Moses Moody, and he just hits a 3 right back and puts it back at 8 points with like 2 minutes left. And it's like, they never had a chance. And because of that, that was at home. Wait till you get to Golden State. You're fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
And because of that, I don't think they have a chance. I think they'll steal one at home in games 1 and game 5 in an elimination situation. I think they'll be down 3-1. The adversity gets them to game 6. But game 6 back in Golden State, it's over. And because of that, I think the Warriors are off the second round, leaving us with the exact same 4 matchups in the Western Conference.
Shocker. We've literally had one different pick this entire series. And it was a difference of 1 game. Yeah, this entire that's what I meant. It was literally a different game.
Coin flip game 7.
Yeah, exactly. You had Vegas winning and I had Edmonton. This is crazy how much we think alike. I mean, this was kind of similar to our NFL predictions too.
Yeah, this is bad, guys. Like, we don't script this. I promise. This is not how I planned
this.
Think
very similar.
I don't get it. Let's see what happens now. Cleveland versus Miami, the Heat and the Cavs. Who wins this series?
Bring the brooms back out. It's sweep time. Give me the Cavs in 4. I mean, the Heat suck without Jimmy Butler. They don't have enough offensive scoring. I mean, they have Tyler Hero's good. Bam Adebayo's a decent scorer. He's a very good player, but a decent scorer. And then who else do they have after that you really trust to score at all? You got some decent shooters that can get hot, but against a team that has Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley in the paint, unless they absolutely go scorched earth fire from 3 one of these games, which is possible, like how they stole one from the Celtics last year because that's what happened. That's the only way of even stealing a game, and I don't really want to bet on that. I don't really want to bet that they're going to get one of those games, so I do have the Cavs getting the sweep in the first round.
Yeah, I also have the Cavs sweeping in this series. I think that the closest they were going to get to a win was obviously the first game. I think they really had a chance in that one, but they lost that one, and because of that, I do think that Cleveland's going to win in the sweep here. I don't think that they have the adversity needed to win a game or even 2, but because of that, I just think that Cleveland's the way better team. They were the 1 seed for a reason, and I think that Cleveland coasts to a win in this one. So because of that, give me the Cleveland Cavaliers in a sweep. Moving into the next matchup, the winner of this series will play Cleveland, Indiana, and Milwaukee. Does Indiana get it done again against Milwaukee, or does Giannis rally back after a 1-0 series lead to the Pacers?
I think I'm still going to lean towards the Bucks because Dame is coming back for this game. That was game 1 in Indiana. So Milwaukee, it wasn't like Milwaukee was at home. If Milwaukee was at home and they got embarrassed like that, I would be like, I think I'd flip to the Pacers, but I did pick Milwaukee before the series. Dame is going to be back soon. I think he's going to take some of the offensive pressure off Giannis because right now it's just Giannis has to go do everything on offense because they just have nothing else. I think you getting Dame back. I don't see Kyle Kuzma having another Tony Snell level game. I think he'll be better. And I just think that the Bucks, I just don't see Giannis really. I mean, it's definitely going to if the Bucks do lose, I think they would lose in 6 because if it gets to a game 7, Giannis is taking it over. But I think that Giannis is going to be able to win enough games. I think they're going to bounce back tonight. I think they play tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
only
think they
2 games
bounce.
tonight. The Knicks, Pistons.
Yeah, in the Knicks or the Pistons are up by 13 right now, 66.
I know.
But anyways, I think the Bucks get back on track tomorrow, and then I think they kind of just run with the series. And I do have the Bucks still winning the series, but I think I wouldn't say run with the series. I think a Bucks win in 7. Pacers offense is good enough to really win them some more games, but I think it comes down to game 7, and it's Giannis.
I have the Bucks in 7. This is sad, man. This is just sad. I think that Milwaukee is one of those teams that's just very, very good. And like you mentioned, you said everything that I really needed to say. They didn't have Dame in game 1, and they kept it close for a large portion. Obviously, they got kind of fucked in the second quarter, but they were rallying back. They were making plays, and I think that if they had Dame, they would have just been way less predictable in that situation. And because of that, I think they would have played very good. I do think that you lost 1 game. It's whatever. I think this is very similar to, again, another series we talked about earlier, Dallas, Colorado, where, you didn't have Mira Heiskanen for game 1, but you had him for game 2 and beyond. You lost 1 game. Oh, well, you're fine. You'll win them out after that. It's fine. And because of that, I do think that Milwaukee steals this series in a very close one in 7 games. Again, like you said, Giannis and Dame are the 2 best players in the series. Game 7, heroes for both of their teams both of the teams that they've played for, obviously Milwaukee for Giannis, and then obviously Dame with Portland. So because of that, I do think that Milwaukee gets this one done. As we move into the final 2 matchups, the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. This is an interesting one. I've been terrified about this series ever since I found out that we were playing the Pistons. But here we are. Will the Knicks rally and win against a young Cade Cunningham team? Or do the Pistons win a playoff series? Playoffs. Do they win a playoff series or no?
I picked the Knicks before the playoffs started, so I'm going to stick with them because I don't want to like change because that's what I did. But the way the Pistons have played these last 2 games, I mean, it took the Knicks to go on a 21-0 run for them to win last night. Now they're losing by 15 with 20 minutes left, or with 17 minutes left in the game. Like, they've just not been playing great. And if the Pistons win, I would not be shocked. So I'm going to go Knicks in 7. I think they definitely can take it to 7. I think the Knicks will be able to get it to 7 games. And at that point, I just trust Jalen Brunson and the playoffs as a closer with his scoring ability to kind of take the game over. I mean, you got Cat also. I think that 1-2 punch will kind of just take over offensively, and they will be able to escape at home. I just don't see them losing a game 7 at Madison Square Garden like that, even though they did last year, but that's because the entire team was in the hospital.
Yeah, it's because we had that guy from SpongeBob who fell down the stairs. Fucking broke everything. Paper skin and glass skin and paper bones, whatever the fuck it is. Literally Mitchell Robinson's ankle. Oh,
Jalen Brunson got injured. Julius Randle was injured. OG Anunoby was injured.
Everybody was injured. Story of my life. Anyway, though, with the Knicks, I do think that we win this series in 6 games. I think that the Pistons are a scrappy team. I think they're going to win tonight. And I actually predicted us to tie in both of the first 2 games at home for each team. So 1-1 after the first 2, and then 2-2 after the second 2. But I think we win game 5 at the Garden, and then I think game 6, Brunson's going to get it together. We're going to close it out in 6 games against a scrappy Pistons team. Because of that, I do think that I'm going to just stick with my original predictions. I didn't change anything. I made these literally 3, probably almost 4 days ago now, so I had this all set before the playoffs even started. I do think that maybe the Knicks probably get forced to 7 now, but I still am going to stay true to what I had, Knicks in 6 games in this one. And then you'll see in the next one what I also had with Boston and Orlando, as I guess we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of that, the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic, round 1. The defending champs get another pretty easy pass in this one. I'm not saying super easy. Orlando is a good team. They just underperformed this year, especially compared to last season, which was a surefire playoff team that lost to the Cavs in that first round. However, Do the Orlando Magic pull off the upset, or do the Boston Celtics advance to the second round to play the Knicks?
The brooms are coming back out. This is a sweep. Give me my Celtics 4-0. Not too worried about the Orlando Magic. It's going to be tragic.
Yeah, it is going to be the Orlando Tragic for this one. I think that the Magic are going to lose this one in a sweep as well. I did originally have a sweep. I want to change it to 5 games, especially after you guys almost lost game 1. But
they won by 17. If almost losing is close. It was close at half, and then the Celtics were like, exactly. Oh, yeah, let's start playing basketball. And they did that, and they won by 17. If right. Almost losing is winning by 17, then the Celtics if when the Celtics almost lose, they win by 17, then I don't see them losing a game in the playoffs because 17.
I get it, but still at halftime it was close. It was a lot closer than it should have been from the get-go. And I'm not saying you had to go full Thunder and absolutely annihilate them, but the Thunder did it to the Grizzlies. Imagine if the Thunder played the Magic, bro. If the Thunder played the Magic, they're winning by 70.
The thing is, the Celtics also were like resting a lot of starters the last couple games down the year. That 2 out of the last 4 games, their best players they played were Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser. They rested their entire starting 5. So they were the last 5 games. They weren't really playing any meaningful basketball. So they started off a little slow at home versus the Magic team that was playing to get into the play-in and then had the play-in game they had to play. They were much more fresh and ready to go. So the Celtics started out a little slow, and then in the second half, they got back into the groove, and they won by 17. So I'm not too worried. Give me them brooms.
Yeah, moving into the second round, we'll get back to the opposite side here. It's Oklahoma City versus the Denver Nuggets to get us going. Will the Oklahoma City Thunder win this series, or do the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic just take over?
I have OKC winning this, and this is tough. I'm going to go 6, though. I think Jokic is going to be able to at least get himself 2. I kind of want to pick Denver just because I don't know how much I still trust OKC, but OKC has been so dominant. I just can't pick against them. And Denver's been kind of spiraling out of control the last couple of months. I mean, firing the coach. They went from being the 2 seed to at one point they were, who knows if they were going to get 50 wins, if they were going to be in the play-in and this, that, and the third. Kind of righted track the last week or 2 to get themselves to the 4 seed. But outside of Murray and Jokic, there's not really much in that team I trust. So I'm gonna go OKC in 6. That is a tough one to pick, but I'll play it safe and go OKC in 6.
I also have OKC in 6 games. I think that the Nuggets are the far worse team in this one, but they have Nikola Jokic, and because of that, I do think that they're going to steal a couple games. However, I do think that does not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. They're going to lose on their home floor in Game 6 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was a firm believer in the Oklahoma City Thunder getting fucked every single round because I just don't think that they're that good of a team. I think they're a good team, but here's the problem with them. They haven't played in close games, and as soon as they play in close games, that lack of experience in close games is going to be the reason why they end up losing eventually. You'll see. However, Oklahoma City is going to advance to the conference finals.
Having the same NBA too.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
good chance we will.
Yeah, good other side here. Los Angeles Lakers and Golden State Warriors. Oh my fucking God, this would be insane. Who do you have winning this series? Will it be LeBron and Luka, or will it be Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler? These are the 2 toughest series to pick in the entire playoffs.
Lakers in 5. No, give me the Lakers in 6. I think that the Lakers are the better team. I mean, Luka and LeBron. I think Luka and LeBron is better than both Curry and Jimmy Butler right now. I'd pick both of them, and especially in a 7-game playoff series. I think they have the 2 best players. I think that they have the better third option too. I mean, it's kind of do you want the offensive engine AR-15, or do you want defensive anchor like Draymond Green? I just think that the Lakers have more playoff experience because and it's also like I don't really want to bet against LeBron in the playoffs now that he has someone like Luka to kind of take the load off of him at this point in his career. Because I mean, he had Anthony Davis, but with how inconsistent Anthony Davis was, and Anthony Davis being a big guy that didn't handle the ball, there was so much pressure on LeBron to be the main playmaker, the main facilitator to create for everyone. He doesn't have that anymore with how much AR has stepped up, with the emergence of, or not emergence, but the addition of Luka. And I think it kind of takes the pressure off LeBron. So in the fourth quarter, you've seen a lot this year where him have pretty lackluster stats until the fourth quarter, and then he kind of just takes over games and just dominates in the fourth. And I think that probably happens a lot in this series, and I think the Lakers take care of business in 6 games.
Yeah, I do think that the Lakers win this one as well, but I have it in 7 games. I think that this one is going to go the distance, and maybe that's just my wishful thinking, begging for a LeBron.
We're going to have the exact same NBA bracket, aren't we?
However, I do think that this Lakers team is very, very good. And here's the thing. This series is going to come down to who's got the better depth, in my opinion. And you can't bet against Austin Reeves right now with how he's been playing. He's been absolutely balling. And because of that, I think that he's just by far the better shooting guard in this series when it comes down to the two that are going at it. And when you look at this Golden State Warriors team on paper, they have a lot of holes. But at the same time, they're kind of lucky that they're getting the Lakers and the Lakers are lucky that they're playing the Warriors because they're both biggest weakness is they don't have bigs in the middle that are good. And because of that, I just think that might cost them at the end. However, not right now because I think that the Lakers are off to the Western Conference Finals. They have the better experience in this situation. They have Luka Doncic, who was just in the NBA Finals last year. And because of that, I do think that Luka gets back to the Western Conference Final, this time with the Lakers because the Mavericks GM is just stupid.
Do you see what he did today?
Yeah. The no regrets thing?
No. There is a new one.
Oh, no.
Every time Nico Harrison speaks on this situation, he just sounds dumber and dumber. I don't understand why he doesn't just shut his mouth. I don't think he's ever said one thing that's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level. Basically saying the GM of his team did not know that his franchise icon, superstar, top 3 to 5 player MVP candidate just carried him to the finals was that important to his franchise.
Yeah, that's dumb.
That may be top 3 dumbest things of all time. It got sent to our group chat with the radio. And one of the guys responded with, I did know that water was important to the human body. I didn't quite know to what level. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny, actually. Anyway, moving into the eastern side of the bracket, we have Cleveland and Milwaukee, the Cavs and the Bucks, an interesting series. This is actually a very fun one. Obviously, the next one's going to be also very fun, considering us specifically. But Who do you have winning this series? You better not say the team I have in the same game amount, or else I'm going to crash out like crazy.
Give me the Cavs in 6. Oh my God! How do we keep doing this? This does not.
Hold on, I'm trying not to show you my entire thing.
I have
Cleveland in 6, dude. Oh my God.
I think it's kind of similar to what was the series when I said they didn't want to take it to 7? I forgot what series I was talking about when they wanted to make sure it didn't go to 7.
And Milwaukee.
Oh, no, I thought it might have been an NBA series because they didn't want it to when I said how Dallas didn't want to go to 7 games with Edmonton. I think the Cavs don't want to go with 7 games in Milwaukee because they don't want to have to face Game 7 Giannis. But at the same time, I think what's different between Indiana and Cleveland, outside of the much better defense, is that when Giannis is going crazy, the Cavs also have a player that can match him in scoring and can just put up 40, 50 bombs in the playoffs and has shown up before in Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's had some crazy playoff games. But the big difference between Indiana and Cleveland, their offenses are pretty similar. They both have electric offenses, is that Cleveland has the much better defense, maybe not so much guard defense, but their big defense is way better, and that matches up really well against Milwaukee. Not saying they're going to be able to stop Giannis, but they definitely have players that can slow him down. I mean, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are two of the best defensive bigs into the game, especially Evan Mobley. So I think they're going to be able to kind of slow Giannis down a little bit. He's still going to get his own, but it'll be a little less efficient than like in the Indiana series. Them playing at home, them being the way deeper team. I'm going to go. I think Giannis will be able to make sure they get 2, but give me Cleveland in 6.
Yeah, Cleveland in 6 games for me too, man. I just think that this Cleveland team is way better than last year. And on top of that, if there's any defense that's going to stop Giannis, it's these two in the middle with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I just think that they're running into a brick wall in the middle. It's going to make the Bucks offense one-dimensional as hell, leaning on just Damian Lillard basically. And I think that's going to cost them. I think right now we saw what it's like when Giannis is just the only player on the court that can do anything with the ball in the Indiana game. They absolutely got cooked by Indiana. Now you're playing the number 1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers, and now instead of Giannis being the only one that can do anything, it's Damian Lillard. And I love Damian Lillard. Dame time, baby, but Dame time's over at this point. It's done. I think Game 6 is going to be as far as they go. And yes, like you said, Giannis gets his own, but not enough to win this series, especially even take it to 7. And for that reason, I have Cleveland winning this series in 6. As now we move into the Boston and New York Knicks series, one of the best series. I think maybe just cinema-wise would be fun.
Okay, your storyline-wise.
Actual series, though, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be as great. I think that this Knicks team is very good, but who knows? Boston, New York, who do you got? If this is even a question.
Yeah, I have Boston, and what the hot take is I have Boston in 5. While I think the Knicks are a really good team this year, but look at the Celtics versus the Knicks this season. Opening night, Celtics won by 23. Then
opening night
they won
3 months ago.
4 months ago. Then the next time they played, the Celtics won by 27. Then the next time they played, the Celtics won by 13. Then the Celtics won in overtime, but that means they showed that they can win in 3 blowouts and they can win the close game. The Knicks were only competitive in one of those 4 games. The Celtics just right now they are healthy. I mean, Jaylen Brown is kind of bad, but Kristaps is healthy, which is a big one. They just match up really well against the Knicks because they have 5 guys that can defend, and they all can, and they have 5 guys that can all score and shoot. And the problem with the Knicks is their 2 best players, their only 2 consistent scorers, are bad defenders for their position, which kind of puts them in issues. Yeah, if you have Brunson and Cat on the floor, that you can just attack them defensively, especially a team like the Celtics when they have 5 guys who can get their own basket. It's like whoever's Cat's guarding, whoever's Brunson's guarding, they can kind of get their own. Then if you want to go double one of them.
And then on top of that, you got Tatum versus who in this series? Bridges or Anunoby?
That's a mismatch. But still, those are both very good defenders. Same thing like on Jaylen Brown, but like, or even like Josh Hart. They have good defenders, but the problem is if you go and play help defense with Brunson or Cat, you'll just someone's going to be open at the 3-point line and cash a 3. And that's how the Celtics play. They like to drive. They like to bring someone in for defensive help. Then they hit the guy for the open 3. And with the Knicks' 2 best players being bad defenders for their positions, it kind of puts them in a bind. How do you really play against them? Because then if you want to go defense and really stop them, you take Brunson and Cat off the floor. Who do you have that's going to be able to score? I mean, you have some guys who can, like, OG can occasionally have a good game. McCallum once in a while can have a good game. Same with Josh Hart. But, like, if you're relying on OG and Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart to score you baskets, your offense is not going to be very good, especially against an extremely good Celtics defense who has players like Jrue Holiday and Derek White, who are all NBA level defenders. Kristaps Porzingis, who's a very good paint defender. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are both very good wing defenders. Like, the Celtics match up so well against the Knicks, and the way they've just been able to kind of dominate them this year, but then in the one close game they played, still find a way to win in the end, having the home court advantage. Like, I think the Knicks are going to be able to get one game at home, but the Celtics are also, I think they just set a record this year for most road wins ever, like, for the Celtics. Like, this franchise record, they just won the most road games this year. So I think the Celtics playing at Madison Square Garden is not going to affect them that much, especially with it being close to Boston. There's going to be a lot of Boston fans that can attend that game. And yes, if this series goes to 6-7, would I be surprised? I'd be surprised if the Knicks win it, yes. But I could definitely see the Knicks pushing it to 6 or even 7. But I really think the Celtics kind of make easy work and win in 5.
I think Boston wins in 6 for a lot of the same reasons you're talking about. I just don't think that we match up very well against the Celtics. I do think that the Knicks are a good team, but it's very clear this year without Jalen Brunson that this team's not great. When he was going through that injury bug, I mean, we really lost a lot of games. We're obviously predicting a close series against the Pistons, and now you're talking about the defending NBA champions and Jason Tatum, who's arguably a top 3 player in the game right now. And because of those
I'm at
things,
5.
yeah, you really can't go wrong with that. But I do think that Boston is the better team in this series, and I love my Knicks. I think that we're a great team. But in this one, I think that we kind of get the short end of the stick. I think that if we were to play either the Bucks or, in my opinion, the Cavs, I think we could win those series. I don't know if that's like a definitive thing. I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, we would definitely win those series, but I think that we'd have a lot more of a chance in those series as opposed to this one. Unfortunately, the luck of the draw is not on the New York Knicks side, as the Celtics do have the lucky little clover. And because of that, the Celtics advance to the conference finals, leaving it up to Lakers versus Oklahoma City Thunder. And then Boston Celtics against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll start in the West, where we have this whole time Oklahoma City, one of the best teams in the regular season this year. Great season, dominating fashion for most of their games, even into the playoffs now against Memphis with a sweep for us predicted. And obviously taking down the Nuggets, who won the championship just 2 years ago. Do they get to the NBA Finals, or do the LA Lakers with LeBron James and Luka get to the NBA Final?
Yeah, give me the Lakers to win in 7. I think part of it is because you said you brought up about how dominant they were during the season. They had like 50 wins this year by like 10 plus points. That means they were just so used to dominating teams all year long. I don't know how much I trust them in the playoffs and close games. And in the playoffs, it's going to be a lot of close games. You just don't really see a lot of blowouts, especially in the conference finals like that. And I think Luka, LeBron, while I think Shea is the better player, until I see Shea do it, I trust both Luka and LeBron in the playoffs more. I think that they have the closers that I just trust them a little bit more. And I think they have the veteran experience. I think the Thunder, there probably would be my early picks to win it next year, or at least make the finals next year, because I think that's another year under their belt. They take another step. Last year, they lose in the second round. This year, the all-dominant season, losing the conference finals. I think next year, they kind of put it together. Their third playoff run, they finally had that veteran experience. I just don't think they're there yet, and I just trust LeBron and Luka a lot more than I trust the Thunder, so I'm going to go with the Lakers in 7.
I have the Lakers winning this one in 6. I think it's going to be back and forth for the first 2 games. I think that the Thunder will start this series out with a dominating win. Lakers always start slow. Lakers win the next one, tie the series. Lakers win the next one after that. Thunder draw even at 2 games. But then I think that's really when those games are going to get close. And like I said at the start of this with the Oklahoma City Thunder, their problem is playing in too many blowouts. When you have to play in a close game, and it actually comes down to it, the clutch gene is just not in them yet, that I've seen at least. I haven't seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hit a game-winning buzzer beater, but I can see LeBron doing it. I can see Luka doing it. And for those reasons alone, this series just tilts in their favor ever so slightly. And then on top of that, you got one of the best NBA players of all time in the Lakers. You can't go wrong with any of those things. And because of that,
the best.
Yeah, it's close. It's very close. Anyway,
Yes,
though, Lakers in 6, off to the NBA Finals, and god dang it, I think that we're gonna have the same NBA Finals, and then the same.
We're gonna have the same NBA bracket. We're literally gonna have one difference between our NBA and NHL. One.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Cleveland versus Boston. Do we even need to do this? Celtics
Boston
rematch from last year. Do the Celtics get back to the finals?
I have Boston in 6 games, and my thought is, I get they split the season series, but the one game that they lost, the Celtics had like a huge lead. Drew Holiday and Kristaps didn't play that game. And then Jaylen Brown got into foul trouble early in the third, like he picked up his fourth. So then for the last 9 minutes of the third, they were playing, it was Tatum, Derek White, and then like Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, and like Al Horford, and then a couple other bench guys rotating in. That was the lineup and they had a big lead. And because they had to set that lineup up, the Cavs were able to creep it back in. And then you give Tatum a little bit of rest because you got to give him at least a couple minutes. So then the first couple minutes of the fourth, you put Jaylen Brown in instead of Tatum, and you have the same lineup, but Jaylen Brown. So that means you went an entire quarter in that game where you're already down Drew Holiday and Kristaps without Tatum or Jaylen Brown. So is Derek White one of them and a bunch of bench guys? And then the Cavs were magically able to bring it back, go on a run, and the Celtics weren't able to hold on to their momentum and lost the game. Like, I get this is all hypothetical. It's all like if hypotheticals. Like, I get that. But I just think the Celtics aren't going to be like resting or injury managing Kristaps and Drew Holiday and these players in the playoffs. They're going to be fully healthy. So were the Cavs. I know they were missing people too. But obviously the Celtics won the championship last year. They've made 2 out of the last 3 finals. They've been in the conference finals every single year since if they make it this year, every single year since 2021 when it was the Hawks versus the Bucks. They've made the last 3 conference finals, so this will be their 4th straight. They have the playoff experience. They have the playoff pedigree. Why the Cavs don't. The farthest they've been is the second round, which was last year when they lost to the Celtics. So I think that their run ends here. The Celtics can win on the road. You know how good they can win at home too. You don't really want to go into Boston Square Garden in the playoffs. Like, it's not a very easy place to play. So I do have the Celtics winning this in 6.
I also have the Celtics winning this series in 6 games. They dominated the series last year against the Cavaliers, and I think they're going to do it again. I do think that the Cavs give them a little bit more pushback this time, but one of the best road teams in the entire league this season in the Celtics. I think they're going to get it done in 6 games. Boston off to the finals for the 2nd straight year, as now we move in to the final thing. We have the Dallas Stars in our other bracket, and now we have the series of the NBA. The Boston Celtics, the reigning champions, back-to-back NBA Finals. This will be their 3rd. On the other side, it's LeBron and the Lakers with Luka Doncic, who's looking for some redemption after losing in the finals last year with the Mavericks. Does he get that with LeBron, or does Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and company get over the hump to win their 2nd in a row? Alex, who do you got?
This is going to be – I'm here. Let me preface this first by this is going to be really weird as a Celtics fan to say that part of me wants the Lakers to win this. You really
Celtics
not going to hear many Celtics fans. No, because, which is also another weird thing, LeBron is like my favorite non-Celtic of all time. Love LeBron. I've said LeBron is the GOAT since the 2018 finals run where he carried that 20-win team to the finals when he had like a 35-point triple-double, but the team was back. After I watched that, I'm like, this is the greatest player ever. I'm never going to see anything like it. But everyone makes the 6-4 versus MJ, all these debates. Oh, he's only won 4. Kobe got 5, blah, blah, blah. LeBron is, if he is able to get his 5th, yes, MJ will still have 6, but you close the gap. Then you add, all right, the rings, now it's even with Kobe and only 1 back of MJ. The finals MVPs, you have more than Kobe. You're only 1 back of MJ. But then having all these longevity records and being a top 10 player in the league at age 40 while leading a team to a championship, it would be one of the greatest championships ever. I think it would kind of tilt, because right now the majority of the public still thinks MJ's the GOAT. If LeBron wins it this year, it is already starting to tilt towards LeBron more because of the longevity. I think it pushes it even more. And someone who was very early on the LeBron being the GOAT, I would love to see that. But Celtics
in 7.
Yes. I'm going to go with Celtics in 6. Just because I think if it gets to a game 7, I think the Lakers would win. I think it's game 7, LeBron. I mean, you've seen LeBron's numbers in game 7s are historically insane. He just goes crazy usually in those game 7s and just puts up absurd numbers and is able to will his team to victory. Again, it's year age 40, year 22 LeBron. It's a little bit different, but he still has that in him. Luka game 7. I don't really want to face those 2 guys in a game 7. And with how good the Celtics are on the road, I think that they'll go into LA in game 6 prepared and like they'll to finish it and win the championship there. And also it kind of just be like an FU. We go as like how much they've been rivals since the 80s. Really the 60s, the Lakers and the Celtics have been like NBA rival. Like those are the two teams. So the fact that the Celtics would have a chance to win in LA and kind of spoil it for them, I think they'd love to do that. So I think they end up taking it in 6. While I'd love to see the Lakers win it because of everything I said. I am still a Celtics fan, so I want to see the Celtics win it more. But because they won it last year, there's a big part of me that also wants to see the Lakers win. But Celtics in 6.
Finally, we disagree. Lakers in 7. I think that this series is going to go the distance. And if this series goes the distance, like you mentioned, it's LeBron game 7. And I think that Luka and Tatum are about even in this kind of a situation. So because of that, I think the X factor would be LeBron. Maybe Tatum a little slight edge to Luka in that situation. But still, I think that LeBron gets it done.
I think Luka's better than Tatum.
Interesting. But I just think that in this situation that the Lakers would eventually win the NBA Finals. I just think that it's a great series. I think that this would be amazing. The history behind it is basically Yankees and Dodgers basically situation for me where it's just like
the Yankees and Red Sox could ever meet in the World Series, it'd be like that.
Yeah, literally. And so
Steelers Cowboys would be one if like the Steelers and Cowboys
ever met. That's fair as well. Again. And
or
like a what? Like Penguins Capitals in their primes.
I'm trying to think of like a
hockey one that might be a interesting one. I don't know.
A good one would be a Penguins Oilers, like a Crosby McDavid.
Okay. I do think that this would be an insane NBA Finals, though. I think it's going to go the distance. Unfortunately for your Celtics, I just don't think that they win a game 7. I think it's a lot like the Curry situation where he just took over for them in that one. So because of that, I'm going to go with the Lakers to win this one. As finally we disagree on something, and of course it's the championship at least, so it's not going to be the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Either way, though, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Hopefully your brackets are pretty good as well. I don't know if ours are going to be any good. Also, update on the Montreal Canadiens Washington game. They're tied at 2. Overtime hockey is just a minute and a half away. On top of that, 2-1. St. Louis is trailing Winnipeg with 11 minutes to go. As I guess we'll see what happens in those series. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Alex, for joining me for the predictions. As always, my name is Thomas Bailey. Thank you guys so much for watching the Sports Lab podcast, and we'll see you all next time. Good night.
Peace.